understand that we have some pleas to address. Let's see, Ms. Waldrop, good morning.
We can't hear Ms. Waldrop.
I know. Mr. Randall, we probably need someone to sign in at the bench in order to activate the audio in the courtroom. Give us a few moments. As soon as that's activated, that will be. All right, as soon as we signed in, Ms. Waldrop, can you do a testing, 1, 2, 3? Yeah, we can't hear you yet. So as soon as the bench is activated, we should be able to hear everyone in the courtroom.
This whole thing froze.
Mr. Malone, if you
Yes.
please share your screen, as soon as we've got the audio connected in the courtroom, we'll be able to start. Please mute your panel and sing. Thank you. Mr. Malone, please mute your screen.
Put yourself on mute. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Evans, are you able to sign in yet?
Give me 1 second, Judge. I'm trying to coordinate with Mr. Randall.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Korn, I believe this is the only case on the calendar for you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Waldrop, are you able to sign in onto a separate laptop on Zoom?
I'm gonna go downstairs, Judge, real quick to see if I can help Mr. Randolph figure out
Okay.
what's up.
But I think I have all the necessary parties on Zoom. I have Mr. Korn, if Ms. Waldrop can get on Zoom. Miss Allen, our court reporter, also on Zoom, and Mr. Malone. Miss Smith is also on Zoom, so I think I have all the necessary parties except Miss Waldrop. Miss Smith, is this our only case for this morning? And then we resume at 1:30?
Yes, Your Honor, we have the case for this morning and then the Trammell case, as we did sign that
We did,
Trammell case with
yeah,
the,
that's at 1:30, right?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I'll be there at that time, yeah.
Position 3 is here.
Sure.
Position 3?
Yeah. That'll turn the courtroom.
Could you give me that case number?
Case number 21
Mm-hmm.
CR 006328F as in Frank.
And that's for a plea in the courtroom, correct?
I'm not sure if she wants to take a plea this morning. We reset it to jury trial further notice for November or October calendar. So I haven't spoke with her as of yet. So she's in the process of contacting her attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Waldrop, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. The audio is working in the courtroom. Excellent. Okay, are we, and Ms. Smith, do you have all the documents from Ms. Waldrop?
I'm trying to pull them now. Right now, I'm looking at Kyle Smith's paperwork. So I think that was for another case. Give me one moment, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Malone, Ms. Waldrop, this is a negotiated plea, so are there any other concerns I have to address now before we begin with the hearing? No?
Don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay, good. All right, as soon as Ms. Smith gives me the green thumb on the documents, we will begin.
Yes, Your Honor, I have the documents. I'm printing them
Excellent.
out now.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are, Mr. Malone, you can go ahead and unmute. Thank you. This is the case of State of Georgia versus Alex Malone, case number 19 CR 007411F. Mr. Malone and his attorney, Mr. Larry Korn, are available via Zoom. Ms. Angela Waldrop, as well as the court, are all available via Zoom for this hearing. This matter is being reported by a court reporter. Mr. Malone, this is going to be a negotiated plea hearing. I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say about the facts of the case, even during this recorded Zoom proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have right to an attorney, and Mr. Korn with the Fulton County Public Defender's Office will be representing you. Today, we're going to have a negotiated plea hearing. So, Mr. Korn, if you can, are you seated right now?
I am.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, not Mr. Korn, Mr. Malone.
Looks like he's standing up.
Yeah, Mr. Malone, will you be able to sit down so that it's a very odd angle for your phone? All right. All right, Mr. Malone, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Waldrop, what are the terms of the plea? He was charged originally with, well, you know what the charge is. So what is the state's recommendation for this charge? I'm sorry, Ms. Waldrop, I can't hear you.
Ms. Smith, do you mind unmuting?
Oh.
So Ms. Waldrop can hear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Go ahead. Let's try again. Ms. Waldrop, testing 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes, loud and clear.
Your Honor, the defendant is pleading guilty to the offenses charged with respect to the negotiated sentence. We've come to an agreement on a sentence of 12 months probation for the defendant to pay a $1,000 fine, complete a sexual deviancy evaluation and any treatment deemed necessary, 12-week anger management, 80 hours of community service, and have no further contact, either direct or indirect, with Ms. Erin Banks. Your Honor, the state is not opposed to a partial fine amount being converted to additional community service if necessary. And counsel, do you stipulate to a factual basis, venue, and identification for purposes of the plea?
We would so stipulate.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We would stipulate.
And I'm not sure, I'm not sure if his audio is working. I can't hear, but
Judge, did you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
okay. And Your Honor, with respect to this case, the victim, Ms. Banks, is present on Zoom and would like to make a statement when the court is ready to hear from her.
All right. Just to get back to a technical issue, Ms. Waldrop, Mr. Korn has indicated on Zoom that he does stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Judge, I can hear you now.
All right. I don't know why she can't hear you, Mr. Korn. I hope it's not selective, but yeah, I do believe she can hear you. All right, Ms. Erin Banks, good morning. My name is Judge Lal. If you could please unmute and start your video and audio, please. All right. Good morning, Ms. Banks. My name is Judge Lal. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The prosecutor in this case has indicated that you would like to make a brief statement. Please move forward.
Yes, I was asked to write a victim impact statement. It says, since meeting the defendant, my life has been in an uproar. At first, I was love bombed and thought that he was doing it for the betterment of our relationships, but I quickly found out that it was manipulation tactics used to control, abuse, and alienate me from my family. I'll go down some more. The night that it happened, well, actually, something happened the night before. I asked him, could he move out the apartment? He refused to. He also threatened to send nudes to my job. When I said that I was leaving, he said that he wouldn't pay the bills. And so we decided to just live out the lease, which was only maybe a couple of months. I got an air mattress to sleep in a different room. I came home to the air mattress being cut up. So I would sleep on the floor, which was very uncomfortable. Then I slept on the futon. Then he offered the bed, but he wouldn't sleep in there. Then one night he came into the bed and tried to touch me. I started to scream and he got off of me. He left that night. That was a Thursday. I barricaded the door. And then the next day, which was Friday, I was gone all day. He told me that he would not be at home. So then that's why I came back to the apartment. He ended up coming home later on that night, and that's when he attacked me. He climbed on top of me. He told me if I was going to be in that house, that I was going to F him. He started to like kiss and put spit all over my face. And he grabbed my private area very hard. to where I thought that it was ripped. I grabbed a pillow and put it in between my legs and held it as tight as I could. He started to bite me over my arms, and there are photographs of the bruises of the bite marks. When I wouldn't let go of the pillow, he pulled it very hard to where I was thrown across the bed and ended up on the floor. I had a knot on my head and a bruise on my foot, which are all photographed. And I think the court might have those photographs. I was also contacted by a friend of his to pay me off not to come to court after the April 11th court meeting, and was called on behalf of Alex to pay me off not to come to the June 1st meeting. I asked that I would have liked for him to receive some jail time, but I'm okay with the probation, the anger management, the sexual assault treatments, the addiction treatments, and for him to refrain to contact me directly or indirectly, also with a fine.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Banks.
Thank you.
Mr. Korn, as you have stipulated to your client's the factual basis, venue, and ID in this case, is there anything else you'd like to add with regards to the recommended sentence?
Oh, we have stipulated to the factual basis, but not what she said, because it's substantially different from the reports that we've read. Having said that, Judge, this is a negotiated plea. We would ask the court to accept it as such and sentence him accordingly. I would note that Mr. Banks has been in alcohol and drug recovery for many years. I don't know where she's getting the idea of some addiction issue, but I want to say at least 7 years he's been in recovery. Is that accurate, Mr. Malone?
I'll have 13 years tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. So I
Thank
know
you.
some of that part isn't true. I'm sure of that. We are agreeing to the rest of the judge. We would ask that the fine be at least half the fine be converted to community service. He lives in New York. He's been traveling and has been draining his resources to get to court. Now, we were able to do this via Zoom, but he's been coming to court for the most part. We would ask the court to accept this as a negotiated plea and sentence him accordingly.
All right. So Mr. Banks currently lives in New York.
Malone.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Malone, excuse me, beg your pardon.
That is correct, Judge. And
All right, just one
we'll have
second.
to figure out some sort of reporting situation with that.
All right. With regards to the defense's stipulation to the factual basis, I am going to accept the stipulation with regards to all the allegations set forth in the electronic warrant and the incident report. So that's the scope of the stipulation. Mr. Korn, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, Judge.
All right. Ms. Waldrop, do you have any comment about the defense's stipulation to the factual basis?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And then the other issue is Mr. Malone's current address is listed in Marietta, Georgia. When was the last time he updated the court with his current address?
Honestly, I have no idea, Judge. Obviously, it's been 7 years since this happened. So this case was dormant for a long time.
I know, but he's still under a continuing obligation to update the court with his address. So when was this moved to New York?
Ma'am.
We have no idea that he moved to New York. Yes, Mr. Malone, if you want to address it.
Yes. Okay. My mother passed May 3rd. So I had to be in New York to take care of all her arrangements, all of her current, bills, her residence. I had to handle the insurance, Social Security department, everything that goes along with a death. And as a result, I had to terminate my lease and I had to be up there. I could not afford to be in both places. And as it happened, I couldn't come back down to Georgia. I didn't have a place to stay. So I was flying in and out, in and out, in and out, and I depleted my resources in the process. So it's been very, very difficult, granted what I'm going through in regards to losing my mom.
Mr. Malone, my
and,
question is, when did you update the court with your new address?
I haven't.
All right, so that is a big concern.
Right. Well,
right, so-
I can give you an address.
No, I don't want an address. I want an address where you're living so that we can send you notices so that probation can monitor where you're at and that we can make sure there's complete compliance with the terms of probation. So
Right.
it's, no, I need to know where you are at all times until this case
Okay.
is over and done with.
Okay.
So are you planning to move back to Georgia or is New York
Yes.
your
Yes,
permanent
I'm
residence?
planning to move back to Georgia. That's been the process I'm in
All right,
right
Mr.
now.
Malone, what is the date that you're returning to Georgia?
Will be next month. The 30th of next month.
You will be back in Georgia on
Yes.
by September 30th, 2023.
Yes.
And what will be your address in Georgia?
I don't have one as yet.
All right. I need your, Mr. Korn, do you have his current address and phone number and email?
I have his phone number and email. I don't have his current address, but he's been in great contact with me, so I haven't had an issue with having to need his current living address.
All right. Mr. Malone, if you want to provide your address in the chat to Mr. Korn will make sure that it gets to the appropriate parties, which includes Essen Smith, the court reporter, and the prosecutor.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that. We need your current address in the chat and just direct it straight to your public defense attorney. Otherwise, you'll make it otherwise you'll have it published all over the Zoom.
Oh. Okay.
Do you know how to work the chat, Mr. Malone?
Yeah, I think so.
If you send him a direct message, he can respond to you directly, Mr. Korn.
Right, right.
Okay. Yeah, that will work. That will be helpful. Okay. Okay. Please. Okay. Um.
All right, do we have,
I do have the address now, Judge.
all right, thank
I will
you.
email it to all the parties.
All right, Ms. Waldrop, Ms. Smith, and
I don't have-
probation. I don't think we have probation here right now, but if it's just to Ms. Smith and Ms. Waldrop, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, Mr. Malone, so we have a situation where you are right now physically in New York, but you're required to report to probation next week. And I'm going to require in-person reporting. So we need a plan in action as to how you're going to accommodate that.
I'll make it work.
I don't accept I make it work. I'm not going to leave it up to you.
Right.
I'm going to make it a part of the court order. So I'm going to
I
ask you.
understand that.
Good.
Um,
Then I need a plan of action.
yeah, I understand that. I'll get a flight and come down like I've been doing. One way or the other. I've made it possible to come to court over the last 5 months, even when I didn't have it, because I understand the importance. Nobody wants to go to jail. I don't, at least. So I have been showing up as my lawyer stated. And I don't see no reason why I wouldn't show up if I have to do it again next week.
Okay.
You make a way. That's what I've been doing, making a way.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Malone, but now that I'm sentencing you, the way is going to be by court order. And if you don't comply, probation is authorized to have the matter revoked and have you serve out the rest of the year in prison instead of on probation. So I am very serious when I say I don't accept, I'll make it work. It has to be very, very specific in terms of what you are required to do. So are you ready to proceed with this plea?
Yes,
Mr. Malone, you've already been placed under oath. Have you consumed any medication, illegal drugs or alcohol recently?
no,
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
somewhat.
I beg your pardon?
For the most part, yes.
What part did you not understand?
Just the small things. I understand where we're going with this for the most part, like I said. If I have any questions, I'll ask.
Has there been any part of what we've been discussing so far that you're scratching your head and going, huh?
Well, in all honesty, it's the statement that was given by the so-called accuser, the inaccuracy of it based on the information that I gave my lawyer. They just don't match up. And I have receipts showing that I was in a whole different place at that
Right, Mr.
time.
Malone, I'm going to stop you right there. Any dispute with what the victim has already stated, I've already clarified that with your attorney, that your
Okay.
attorney is agreeing to the facts as alleged in the warrant. Now, do you want
Okay.
to see a copy of the warrant?
No, that's
Right.
fine. Okay. Now I get it. I get it.
All right. So again, I'm going to ask you, have you now understood everything that's been going on so far?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you, inducing you, or coercing you to take this plea today?
No.
Are you doing so freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney?
Yes.
And Mr. Malone, I'm sure you've gone over the plea documents with Mr. Korn. I just want to make sure that you understand. Today, you are pleading guilty to the misdemeanor charge brought against you. Are you familiar and do you know what this charge brought against you?
Yes.
And do you understand that if I accept your plea today and sentence you, that you will be waiving and giving up your right to go have a trial in front of a judge or a jury? You're giving up your right to confront your accuser and examine witnesses, whether they are for you or hostile towards you, that you're giving up your right to challenge the evidence that will be brought against you in the court of law. You're giving up your right to have the representation of an attorney to advocate on your behalf and challenge a charge in a court of law. And you'll be giving up your right to have the prosecution carry its complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
And do you understand that this will be a final disposition of the case? There will be no right to file an appeal or challenge this decision in a court of law?
Yes.
And do you also understand that once I place you on probation, that any non-compliance on your part can result in a revocation of the probation and have you serve out the rest of the remaining term in jail or in prison?
Yes.
How do you plead to the misdemeanor charge brought against you?
Guilty.
Guilty. Your sentence is going to be 12 months to be placed on probation. You will report to probation next Thursday, which is going to be August 31st before 3 p.m. I hope you are writing this down, or Mr. Korn can email you all the information. Your report date to the probation office is at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. Again, it's on Thursday, August 31st before 3 p.m. When you report to probation, your probation officer will assist you to set up your probation case, where thereafter you will be reporting to probation every month. I understand that you are planning to move to Georgia by the end of September, but your next probation report date will probably be in late September. I will allow you a telephonic report one time only in September of 2023. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
So for the month of September, you are allowed one telephonic report to your probation officer. Thereafter, your reporting to probation shall be in person, and it shall be every month. While you are reporting to probation, you will comply with the following conditions. You are to enroll and complete an SDET program within 60 days of reporting to your probation of today. So within 60 days, you must show proof to your probation officer that you have enrolled and commenced the classes for the qualified SDET program. Whichever program you enter, please make sure you pre-qualify that with your probation officer. You're also to enroll and complete 12 weeks of anger management classes, and you will do so within 90 days from today. So you have 3 months to find a qualified anger management program to begin these classes. You were originally assessed a $1,000 fine. I will amend that to a $500 fine, which you will have the 12 months to pay off. You will also have the 12 months of probation to complete the remainder of the fine, which is converted to 50 hours of community service, plus the additional 80 hours of community service. So you have 130 hours of voluntary community service to complete, which may be done within the 12 months that you are on probation. The voluntary community service may be done with any nonprofit 501c company, but it cannot be a school and it cannot be a religious organization. So no school and no church. Understood? Understood, Mr. Malone?
Answer out loud, please.
Mr. Malone?
Yes.
Okay. At all times, you are to have no contact with Erin Banks and or her immediate family members. You are to stay 200 yards away from Ms. Banks. You're not to communicate with her or her immediate family members in person, through a phone or a computer device, through a third party, and you're definitely not to discuss her or comment on her on any social media platform. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
No consumption of illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms are going to be a condition of your probation. You're to comply with all medication and treatment that you're currently receiving and or that you might receive through the anger management or the SDET program. If you get arrested again during the course of your probation, that will also be grounds to revoke your probation and have you complete the remaining term in prison. That concludes the sentence. Mr. Korn, any comment?
Yes, Judge, I have one request, and I did speak with Ms. Waldrop about this. I know he's got a lot of conditions, and it would be a little bit miraculous if he were able to do so, but we would ask that the probation become non-reporting upon completion of all the conditions.
Denied. He'll report to probation every month. Anything else, Mr. Corn?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Malone, any questions?
No.
We will see you next Thursday at probation. And then while you're moving back for Georgia in the month of September, you may report to probation via a telephone or Zoom, whichever way you and your probation officer set up your second report date. And then after that, it will be continuous in-person reporting. Ms. Smith has placed the report address and phone number in the chat. Mr. Corn, do you see that, sir?
I do, and I will also email it to him.
All right. That concludes this plea hearing. Thank you, Mr. Malone. Ms. Banks, you are both free to go. All right. I don't believe we have any other cases this morning until we resume at 1:30, and this will be an in-person court matter. Let me see. Ms. Waldrop, did you have any other matters to comment? I believe we have one other case that's waiting on her attorney to appear.
Your Honor, I'm not sure about that, but with respect to this afternoon, that'll be Mr. Stevens' case. So
Oh.
nothing further from me today, Judge.
All right. And let me see. Let me just pull up that case.
Mr. Corn, can you please send me the email and phone number of the defendant?
I'm doing so right now.
Thank you.
This is Brianna Lachelle. And she's standing up in the courtroom behind us. All right, Miss Lachelle, Deputy, if we could guide her to the podium, please. All right, Ms. Lachelle, good morning. My name is Judge Lal. I'd like to first remind you that you have a right to remain silent and about the facts of the case. Any comments that you make, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one, the Public Defender's Office will represent you if you qualify. Your case was scheduled for a jury trial back on August 8th, and your case was reset today for a possible plea. Who is your attorney? I'm sorry, I can't hear her. We need to unmute the audio on the bench.
Repeat that, please.
His name is Antonio Thomas.
Antonio Thomas. All right. And where is Mr. Thomas this morning?
I'm not sure. Last time I spoke to him, he was in Switzerland.
Well, that's convenient.
I was like,
Mr. Korn, I'm sorry, he's in Switzerland?
the last time I spoke to him, he was.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
I was able.
I have no notice of conflict, no excuse. On July 7th. All right. And Ms. Waldrop, is that your case this morning?
Your Honor, that was my case on the August 8th trial calendar. I believe it was further noticed. So I was not given notice of this case being on the calendar today.
Okay. Ms. Thomas, this is going to be a final reset to either for a jury trial or for a plea. And Ms. Smith, what's the next trial calendar, please?
The next,
Do we have a plea calendar?
Oops. 1, 2. The next final plea calendar would be in the month of October. The first week in October, either the 4th, 5th, or 6th, we can put her on a final plea calendar.
Okay, let's put it on October 4th. All right, Ms. Lachelle, your case is reset to October 4th at 9 a.m., where you will have to appear for the jury trial call. And I would recommend that you call your attorney every day from now until then, when he receives your in response, that he's confirmed, he's received your call, and that you both need to be ready for either a jury trial or a plea on October 4th at 9 a.m.
Your Honor, October 4th is strictly final plea calendar.
Oh,
Did
let's
you
put it
want-
down for final plea. Yeah.
Do you want her on a jury trial further
No,
notice?
I want her to show up at the final plea because I want her attorney to show up.
It's the 4th of Wednesday,
The 4th is a Wednesday.
but that's in the day, that's more of a day.
Do you want to do it on a, well,
Do the 5th or 6th.
she said the 5th or the 6th, because I'm not sure that the JO calendar will have you as a sitting judge on a Wednesday.
Okay. 5th or 6th. Is that Thursday?
Okay, then we'll do it on the 6th, which is a Friday.
Okay. October 6th then. Ms. Lachelle, any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, we will see you and your attorney in the courtroom in person on October 6th.
Okay.
If your attorney has not responded to you by the end of September or whenever you feel comfortable, I highly recommend you retain other counsel.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And is your address current at present time? I want to make sure that we have a correct address.
Yes, ma'am.
I have Winton Woods Drive.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Is that correct, in Forest Park?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And could you provide us your phone number and email? Ms. Smith is seated up there. We'll need to give her a piece of paper so she can give us her current phone number and current email. And Ms. Smith will need to update Odyssey with that information, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
And on Odyssey, we don't have a lot of relevant information. Do you see that? On the demographics data information, we probably need that too.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll make sure we get that.
Okay. All right, we'll see you October 6th then at 9 a.m., Ms. Lachelle. You may leave as soon as you've given all the necessary information to the clerk of court so that we will have more complete contact information for you. Mr. Korn, I believe that concludes your case for this morning.
He's on mute.
You're muted, Mr. Corn.
It does complete my business, Judge. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't needed for whatever that was.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Waldrop, I'll see you. I'll see you when I see you. Let's put it
Yes,
that
Judge,
way.
good to see you.
You too. Okay, Ms. Smith, do you need anything else from me?
No, Your Honor, I'll have the paperwork drawn up for you when you come in at 1.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or you can scan and email it to me as well. That'll be fine.
Okay, that's great.
Miss Allen, thank you very much for appearing via Zoom. Would you be also a court reporter for this afternoon at 1:30?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, no, our court reporter, Miss Allen.
She said, tell her yes.
Oh, tell her yes. Okay. Yeah, she can either appear via Zoom or in person, but if she appears via Zoom, we'll need to give her a Zoom link.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, everyone. Thank you again, and we will resume at 1:30. Thank you.
Don't roll back. Thank you.